a little over a minute now on the Qs and SPY. Qs closing basically flat after gapping down this morning. SPY actually up a little bit, so that's kind of interesting. But we'll talk about what that means moving forward. We also do have important news coming out in the morning tomorrow, so let's get prepared. Good afternoon. This is Ifan from the Strategic Day Trader, and this is your market wrap for September 1st, 2022. SPY up a little bit, had a gap down, and then kind of recovered here into the afternoon, and then Q is basically flat. Was weak all day and then recovered here. Here's the daily chart. Daily chart, we came into today bearish. We got that gap down, and then we got a little bit of a reversal here into the end. So that does make things interesting. It doesn't make me bullish, though. With the move up here, we are getting an hourly sell setup. So when we talk about tomorrow, we're going to get non-farm payrolls before the open. So that could lead to a gap up or a gap down. I really don't have any kind of guidance on that. That's not something that I look to kind of play ahead of time, whether the market's going to gap up or gap down with that news. So really what we need to do is just kind of prepare for both scenarios. Okay, if we open up flat, all right, then just overall still bearish. Okay, now if we gap up, I think it'll be a little bit harder. We could move up still some more into major resistance, into this kind of 400 401 area on the SPY. For the Qs, that's going to be up into 305 or so. If we gap up, we could move up some more. Still going to be longer term bearish on it, but that would be more of the retracement. Now, I think the easier scenario would be if we gap down. If we gap down, then on the Qs here, if we get underneath 297, 296.80, then that's just, this pivot will be our new line in the sand. We'll have this hourly downtrend just continuing. And we basically got a rally right back, counter rally back to the declining 20 MA, kind of what we were asking for the last couple days, is that we just get that counter rally, see what the pivot looks like, where it forms, and then, you know, if there's going to be some point where the hourly wants to break the downtrend, at least we'll know where that break is. And so if we gap down, that'll confirm today's high as a pivot. If we gap up, we could move back up into resistance, and we do have some room to go. So, so that's kind of what I'm looking at. And then if we don't gap at all, then just going to remain bearish based on the larger time frames. Okay. All right. So that's the plan for tomorrow. We'll see how the market responds. Let's go over the plays from today. First play was the NTNX. First play here, I just played it as kind of a 1 minute range here at the open, and played this breakout right in here. Had that breakout there. I took a little bit on the way up, and then just held the back half till the end of the day. So finished, only made really an R because the stop was so big. I played it with an 80-cent stop. Sammy actually made a call on it with a tighter stop that worked better. He played it as a 50-cent stop right here. And so that actually had a lot better reward to risk. But because I played it with that big stop, it also made it easier to hold into the end of the day. You can see at the end of the day, I got a little bit of rally to kind of just on that back half, give it a little something. Yeah, it was fine. Here's the gap on this. Here's why I played this aggressively. Island reversal on the NTNX. So was really looking for bigger targets. And that was kind of something that I ran into today, was that a couple plays that I really had big targets for, and they didn't quite get there. So the NTNX still a winner, but couldn't quite get to target. And then the AI as well. AI couldn't really get to target either. Played this in the morning as a... How did we do this? We did it as... I have my numbers here. 1479 by 1515. Yeah, okay. So we did have a 1 minute sell setup. That's how it was played. 1 minute sell setup right here. So you can see declining 20 MA catches up. just underneath this little area here. We got an initial trigger and then a secondary entry. I did kill half over this base because I didn't like the way that it responded. So the front half lost a little bit. And then we took a portion of the back half in here as it was making new lows later on in the morning. And then I killed the last bit at 1466. So this one didn't make much because we lost. And then we made some here, and then the last portion made a little bit as well. So, I was looking for big targets on this. I'll show you why. Here's the AI gapping down. We're clearing this support here. To me, the next support is down here, 1350. So, while I did have initial targets at 14, and we did get to 1404, I really was more serious about the 1340, 1350 targets. And that's really what I was aiming for, was just bigger targets on this. Couldn't quite get there. I'm surprised, but that's fine. That was the AI. And really weak. And why should I expect, and I was thinking maybe even beyond, maybe it gets through. Because look at this monthly. I mean, this thing is in big trouble. Right? All out downtrend on every time frame. Those are the kind of things that I want to be in, as long as I can be in them. So as long as the downtrend is there. But had a little bit of trouble going, seemed to bottom kind of around the time that market was turning around as well. And then into the end of the day, the afternoon, AGIO was the last play for me. Just a 15-minute late day breakout. A little bit wild, a little bit sloppy, but it did have a 50-cent stop here as the 20 MA was catching up. 50-cent stop on this breakout here over 39 or 29.55. And worked out okay, but actually getting a good exit on this was hard. You can see here. So, got that initial pop and then came right back down. So on a 50-cent stop, for this to kind of drop almost 30 cents in a minute or so is, it's hard to get out of it. It was hard to get a kind of a nice exit on this. And, I didn't know it was going to go back up. So I think the first exit was like 85 is where I got it. Yeah, 85, even though, it popped all the way to 30.20. And then I took some more on the next pop. Again, came back in right away, so not a good exit. And then last piece just took out before the end of the day here. So, yeah, it looked easier, honestly. The AGIO looked easier than it actually was, just because of the way that it trades. And so it was just a little bit sloppy on the AGIO. But here was the gap. I like the gap okay. The gap, you can see, did have some resistance to deal with, but what stood out more on this AGIO was the relative strength. Okay, basing at the high of the day, while the market in the morning, right, was spending all its time at the lows. Okay, so that was, then the market popped, and that only gave this thing more reason to move up. Yeah. All right. So I hope you had a nice day today. We'll be back at it tomorrow, and I will talk to you then. Have a good evening.